Okay. Another way that I use this a lot is if you're multiplying two numbers together. This was kind of, I put a couple of those at the bottom of your worksheet yesterday. In other words, if you're taking something like, I know, and this isn't, like I said, it's kind of like the percents. It kind of depends on the numbers. Sometimes you can use it if you've got nice numbers, and sometimes it doesn't work out. It's better to just do it probably maybe faster just by hand. But for example, I know you could maybe just do that in your head the regular way, 52, and then you put the 9 underneath it. Another way you can think of it, does anybody ever in their head when they multiply it, split the 52 into two parts? Like, how do you do it, Tia? Yes. And actually, kind of what we're doing, we reviewed place value. 5 is in the tens place, so how you can think of it, basically what Tia was doing, use the distributive property. Instead of taking 9 times 52, you just take 9 times 50 and 9 times 2. This is just kind of nice because 9 times 5 is 45, and you just add a 0, so it's 450. And then you're going to also add on 18. So you're basically doing in your head 450 plus 18, so 468. Okay. Another example. Say if you're doing something like if you do 6 times 400, what's that going to be? 2,400, right? Because you have two zeros. The 6 times 4 is 24, and you just put the two zeros on there, so 2,400. And you got to add to that 18, so 2418. A little mental trick you can do is take that number and just split it into parts. So we said this was 2,400. Said this was 18, so you get 2418. Okay. Okay, it's kind of another little trick you can use. Let me move this down a little bit. I'll give you another example. What if we were doing, let me just, okay. Let's take something like, and I usually like it with like 1 digit times, say 2, 3, and 4 digits. It's kind of nice if that first number is one, or if one of the numbers is just 1 digit. Otherwise, it gets a little bit more messy. But so in other words, say you could take something like 8. Let's say something like, I guess it's kind of nice if there's a 0 in there too. That might be fast. So 8 times 200 would be, what would that be? What's 8? 1,600, because you have 2 zeros on there. So 8 times 2 is 16, then you have the 2 zeros. 1,600. 8 times 10 is, so 1,680 would be your answer. So using the distributive property, instead of doing 8 times 210, you're doing 8 times 200, and you're doing 8 times 10. Okay. So I find myself using that a lot too, when I just want to quick do something in my head. What the distributive property says, like I know I used the example at Menard's bag yesterday, the distributive property says basically that multiplying by each of the parts is the same thing as multiplying by the whole. So in other words, if that person at Menards, the person at the checkout, took out every item and did 10% off, 10% off, 10% off, that's the same thing as if they just added all the items and did 10% off of the total. That's the power of the distributive property. Okay, let me show you. We're going to use it to do some algebra examples also. So let me just give you, we did some of these yesterday. We're just going to combine some of them. I'm going to keep it all addition, keep it a little easier. Okay, could somebody distribute the first one for us? Steve? 6, good job. And Brian, can you distribute the second one?
3x plus.
Good. And then yesterday I briefly mentioned like terms. So which terms could you put together? Yes. So 2x's and 3x's, that would make 5x's plus 24. So that would be your simplified. We're not actually solving for x. We'll get to that later. We're just simplifying it. We're just kind of cramming it down and making it a little smaller. Okay? Let me give you... What's that? You won't a lot of times you do it. The directions for this are just simplify. So that's a good question. So you won't actually get down to a solution. You're just going to cram it down and make it smaller. Okay. Okay, you guys simplify that one and see what you get.
Wait, how do you get 5x plus 24 for the first one?
Oh, I put the 2 plus 3, 2x and 3x make 5x's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Just add the like terms together. Okay. Could somebody distribute this one over here? Jeff?
6x plus 3
Good.
plus 18x plus 30.
Okay. And then what do you got? Okay, Steve, what would you get for the answer then when you combine like terms?
24x plus 33.
Good job. Okay, very good. So just kind of a short lesson today.